Once I borrowed $2,000 from my older sister. It was impossible for my parents to know why I needed this money, so I asked my sister to keep it a secret. Again, in secret from her parents, she began to earn extra money, collected the required amount and repaid the debt to her sister. Recently, my father said that he wants to give me a gift for a good end to the session. I asked for a new laptop, which, by coincidence, cost just $2,000. I boasted to my sister, it turned out, in vain. She immediately came home and, with naive eyes, told her parents that for a year I had been shooting money from her to swell, and my debt in total was $2,000. Parents, without thinking, gave her the money that they wanted to spend on me for a gift. They scolded me and said that trust in me was lost. I'm to the sister, they say, "What are you doing?" and ask me to return what is rightfully due. What I heard, better be silent. Otherwise I'll tell my parents what you really needed money for. Sister. Parents constantly cite my sister as an example. We have a difference of a year, but she has already purchased an apartment, made repairs in it, gave birth to 2 children. And I have a job and a rented room, so I'm trying hard. And now the truth is, the only merit of the sister in a successful marriage right after the university. Her husband is a successful IT specialist. At his expense, they bought an apartment and made repairs in it. It was thanks to him that the sister gave birth to 2 children in a row, because her husband provides and she may not work. Well done, sister, but I'm not. Although I am after the university, I have been working in my specialty for the 6th year, gaining experience, renting a room, saving up for a mortgage. But with my sister, the result is already visible. Here she is in an apartment and here they are children, but I don't. It's a shame when the most relatives do not see the efforts, and cannot provide moral support. I am a girl, I am 17 years old. My girlfriend started having problems with her family and she came to stay with me for 2 days. After spending the night, she forgot her personal diary with me, which is very similar to my notebook for poetry. Well, without thinking for a long time, I called her and asked her to come for the diary, and she left it on the table. I come home. My mother ignores me, says that I am no longer her daughter. Grandma screams. I ask what's the matter. They show a friend's diary with a description of her next drinking and bed scenes. Mother does not even want to listen. The father beat him for the first time in his life. He hates all the day. They consider me a whore. And how to live here when the closest people do not trust you so much. The lock in the door clicked. Katie jumped out into the hallway to meet her husband. Peter came in, as usual, frowning and without mood, not looking at his wife. She smiled shyly. What's the fun about? The husband asked sarcastically. Katie blinked her eyes rapidly. Nice to see you, sweetheart, Katie murmured. Oh, and you look stupid, Peter said with a grimace, heading for the kitchen. Katie grew up in a patriarchal family, where she constantly watched how her grandfather taught her grandmother with his fist, her father drove her mother, and no one had any questions about it. One day, a neighbor named Peter came to visit his mother on vacation. A strong, somewhat stern-looking man of 37 years old, the neighbors whispered. His wife left Peter. Now he will choose a companion with the right foundations, so that she obeys and respects her husband. Everyone decided that this was an enviable groom, secured. Katie has just turned 20, she worked as a kindergarten nanny. I really dreamed of being a teacher, but my family wouldn't let me study at the institute. Being afraid that a girl will spoil in a big city, then there will be no shame. Peter immediately noticed Katie, a modest beauty with a long braid. He came up and spoke. She was embarrassed, blushed, and became even more charming. In fact, Katie was in love with her classmate, she didn't tell anyone about it. He was in the army, and she was just waiting for him to return. And I dreamed that everything would come true, like in a fairy tale. Returning home from work, Katie noticed the excitement that was in the air. It turns out that Peter came with his mother, asking if Katie would agree to become his wife and leave with him. Peter dreamed of a patriarchal family where the wife does not work, runs a household and honors the husband who fully provides for her. Grandma already shed tears of happiness. They worked all their lives at the factory and at home. They did not see the white light, and her granddaughter will live like a lady. But I don't want to, I don't love him, I'm afraid of him, Katie muttered in horror. Have you lost your mind? Anyone can't even dream of such a thing, but this one is nomadic. If he can stand it, he'll love it, and, making terrible eyes, the grandmother growled, I'll curse. Katie shuddered. She knew that there was nothing scarier than a generic curse. She shrank into a ball, squeezed her eyes shut and became quiet. The wedding was noisy and rich, with a wedding in a local temple. The groom paid for everything. Everyone envied Laura, but she was pale, and only smiled guiltily. Collecting Katie to her husband, her grandmother and mother gave instructions. Do not contradict your husband, respect him. Obey him in everything. If you do something wrong, you will disgrace us. Know that you do not have a family and you do not have a home. If we don't accept it, you'll go outside. It was with such parting words that the girl began her new family life. The husband almost did not beat Katie. So, sometimes, taught, for respect. The first bruises were noticed by the doctor in consultation during the examination, when Katie was registered for pregnancy. It was me who fell down the stairs, my head was spinning, the girl muttered. She clearly learned that, rubbish from the hut, cannot be taken out. Look, Katie, the experienced doctor said incredulously, these ladders can kill you. Peter looked unkindly at his wife from under his eyebrows. Where have you been? What is it? He asked. I was in a consultation. Watch me, if I find out something, I'll kill you. Remember, you wretch, no one needs you except me. I'll kick you out. You'll die in the trash, and abruptly pushed Katie away. She fell, hit a stool in the kitchen, but endured, did not even moan. Since childhood, my father often punished me with a belt, I got used to it. Closer to the birth, the husband became increasingly annoyed with that you walk like a chicken. There, the grandmothers in the village gave birth in the field, and followed by a vicious kick. A month before the birth, Peter came home slightly drunk. At work, you need to smile and be polite, customers have spoiled his mood. At home, you cannot hold back. And then, by his arrival, the lazy wife had had enough sleep, she hadn't washed the dishes. Her stomach, you see, pulls. Here he is now about this sink with dirty dishes and will attach it. And then it blossomed completely. From a strong blow, Katie went into premature labor. They were very difficult, the girl died. The daughter was born very weak, but the baby was released in the hospital. Katie's mom and grandma took her. It's very scary if they bring up their granddaughter with the same monstrous life attitudes. By the way, Peter was not even prosecuted. Everything was written off as an accident. He is again in search of a new, right, wife. Put a like. Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new stories.